Hey everybody, Matt here with Team Kerr over at Remax Real Estate Services. I just want to do a quick market for June 2018. Going to talk about the stats. Okay, so June 15th, 2018, we saw a huge change in the rules of way we do business. Realtors in the market do business. No more double ending, it's outlawed. And that's that for that. So make sure you have your own agent if you have it. Of course, you can call us. We have loved being your realtor over the last 20 years that this team has been in business. But there's quite a lot of rule changes, so feel free to reach out to us and we will try to explain it as best we can. And there will be changing. This is going to be a fluid conversation regarding the rules. Okay, so let's talk about the market real quick. I'm going to use the snap stats here, what came on the market and how many of them sold. And that gives us a pretty good snapshot into what phase of the market we're in, a buyer's market, balanced market, or a seller's market. Let's talk about the attached units in downtown, Westside, Eastside, and North Vancouver. So over the last few months, generally, we've seen quite an increase of inventory in all those areas. However, last month in June, we saw the areas kind of stabilize in terms of inventory increase, but we've seen a drop in the number of transactions. For example, downtown, 2% increase of inventory only, but a 17% decrease in transactions, bringing the sales to listing ratio down to 23%. So only 23% of all the properties that came on in June sold. 23% tells us it's a very soft seller's market. Now, if you've been watching these videos, that means, well, we've dropped down from like in the 60s and 70% of all properties selling in the downtown core. So this is actually a fairly significant change. Now, if you're low, like a one bedroom or a studio, those things are still very hot though, and they're still rolling along, but it's definitely changed. The east side, let's just jump to the east side. A similar story, 5% increase of inventory and then a 16% decrease in transactions, 41% sales to listing ratio. That's telling us, if you're well priced, you'll get buyers who are going to come and have a look at it, and it'll probably sell. And then in North Vancouver, I'm going to come back to the west side here, a 2% increase in inventory and then a 20% decrease in transactions. That's bringing the sales to listing ratio down to 39%. Now, as you may remember, the North Van attached has been very strong, and it's at 39%, which is good, but it's been much, much stronger than that over the last little while. Now, the interesting thing is on the west side, 5% increase in inventory, and the transactions actually followed it to 3% increase in inventory. So that's kind of nice. 32%. Sales to listing ratio. So like, for example, 689 properties came on, 219 of them sold, 32%. That's telling us still a seller's market. That's actually telling us a little bit that it's stabilizing. But you know what? Back to this graph here that Chandra made. Boom. This is the 10 years sales cycle of the way the market works over the last 10 years in terms of sales volume. So you can see it's fairly cyclical. It's like an erratic heartbeat, but it is fairly cyclical, and you can sort of see what it's doing here. So in the summer, and this is telling us that in the summer we see, of course, dropping of transactions. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens as we go through the summer months. Okay, let's just really quickly talk about the houses. Houses, a little bit the same, slight inventory increase, okay, but transactions dropping off. One thing I'll point out, like for example, on the west side, we had actually a decrease in inventory, 4% decrease, 13% decrease in transactions, but an 80% increase on days on the market. So we're in a buyer's market, 10% sales to listing ratio. That's a solid buyer's market on the west side. And then on the east side, we're at 2% increase in inventory, 30% decrease in transactions, and a 53% increase on days on the market. We're at 12%. That's buyer's market essentially. And we've seen, this is the one thing about the east side. You saw sort of the average sale price. It's been kind of in and around about 1.6 over the last 5 months, and then in June that's at above 1.6. Now it's at 1.504. So a significant drop, there. So 8% drop there. So that's a buyer's market as well. And then North Vancouver, no change in the inventory, like 0%. You know, we had in May we had 430 properties come on, 429 came on in June, so that's would essentially be 0% according to this. And we had a 10% decrease in transactions with a 20% increase in days on the market, 19% balanced market, pretty solid balanced market in that case. So anyways, you guys, you have access to all this through us. We're happy to share this, the pricing benchmark, as well as the real estate board stats in all Lower Mainland, as well as this graph that Chandra from our team put. It's actually quite profound and all in PDF, and we'll happily share all that with you. You just have to reach out and we'll get it to you, definitely. So once again, it's Matt here at Team Kerr. Check out our website at teamkerr.ca. For any info, just please reach out to us and we're more than happy to help. Talk to you soon.